What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Bingo's Toys Jezzy, or their version of a Masterpiece Scale IDW styled jazz. So I got this last week, but I've been away on travel, so I put the unboxing out and then just wasn't able to get to the review done. But here we're going to take a look at it. There's a couple things to do out of box, and I'm going to show you. If you come to the back here and you lift up this backpack piece here, there's this little piece that's, I believe it was folded in when I took it out of the box. You want to fold that down, and then the glass, the blue piece, is going to sit down in there and kind of locks that front piece. Now on the front, this may be undone as well. There's two little pegs on that black ab piece. You're going to push that down and plug it in. And that really locks them together quite well. And the doors, you can kind of have it however you like. I like to have it angled up like this, but it's really good looking. And I want to put an image of the Flame Toys Jazz. But you could see there's a lot of similarity to, I think, some cues from that Flame Toys Jazz. A lot of the gold bits, the way they did the hip skirts, the knees, you know, some of the detail down here, the feet. A lot of the detail looks like that jazz. So I think they really were going after that, but obviously something that transforms. And it's beautifully painted, this thing. It's got silver paint on the head, some translucent blue for the eyes, gray for the face, nice blue, red, and black stripes here. Number 4 there, nice pearlescent white, translucent blue for the headlights. You got some bronze, red, silver, lots of nice detail all throughout. Blue for the wheels, which we'll see in vehicle mode. Here's the back. It cleans up really nicely for the way it transforms. It's kind of impressive that this all kind of folds away and it looks cool. Like, it just looks cool having the parts here. His backpack is detailed. He's got all this detail on here. That doesn't do anything in vehicle mode. It's simply there because it's visible on his backpack. And I thought that was really cool that they took the extra effort to paint and detail this thing. You do have this butt skirt. This is very similar to what they had on the Flame Toys. So, you know, again, taking those cues from the Flame Toys. All right, now let's take a look at his articulation. And he's got some really nice articulation. On the head, it's a really cool joint. I haven't really seen this before. There's a hinge that goes back and forth. The neck itself is on a ball joint, so that allows you rotation all the way around. And then you can lift up on the panel that the head is sitting on, which allows you to get way down. So it's one of the most articulated heads I've seen on a MP scale figure. It's really well done. Shoulder is on a friction hinge. It rotates around. Nice tolerance on this. It is nice and tight, but it feels like what you would get on a Flame Toys. At least that joint does. There is a peg that holds these wheels in. I'm not going to take it apart to show you, but when we get to transformation, I'll show you. That peg is what holds those shoulders in. So if your shoulders are rotating, your wheels are rotating, when you do this, that's because you don't have it pegged in. So make sure you have that pegged in. I'll show you when we get there. You have a rotation at the joint out to the side on that hinge. You have a rotation here at the bicep. Double jointed elbow, full bend. If you come to the back here, you can see there's this detail. There's like pistons and this elbow pad, and the elbow pad moves with it. Again, done beautifully and almost like a Flame Toys. You know, it's just, or 3-0, you know, that kind of joint. You have rotation at the wrist. Individual articulated fingers, they have lots of articulation. The fingers are on ball joint at the base, which allows you to splay them out. And then there's 3 pins, 2 pins. So you get plenty of articulation, thumbs on a ball joint, and 2 pins as well. It's a little bit spindly for my taste. Maybe they're too small or something. I'm not sure. But although they work well, I'm not sure they look all that great, just because they're kind of thin. But it does work, so I'll give them credit on that. Coming to the back, the wing seam can be kind of articulated however you want. You can have them all like this. You can have them straight out, like, you know, wings all the way out. You can have them hidden, so if you rotate them down like this, you can kind of hide them back here, so you can't really see it from the front. You know, there's lots of options here on these wings. You could even slide them down if you think, you know, they're too high up. Speaking of that, these sliders, sometimes they do slide when you don't want them to. So just check the position. If it looks off or something, just look if that's in the right spot. But because there's a joint here, it allows you to kind of get whatever angle you really want on those. Coming down to the waist, you have a double ab crunch. So here you get down to there. And I'll show you on the back, it'll be a little easier to see. So there's a ab crunch down here and there's an ab crunch there. And again, really nicely done. If you keep going, it'll pull this blue glass piece out of here and it'll feel like it's another ab crunch, but it's actually not. It's not meant to do that, because once you do that, this will come unpegged on the front. So it's not intended to be an ab crunch. If you wanted to for a pose or a picture, you could, but not intentional. You have this side to side tilt and you have a rotation here at the waist. So that works well. Hip skirts, you have the front, side, and the big one on the back. The legs are on a drop-down hinge, and it goes down further than that, but the leg goes all the way up, so you really don't need to go down any further. Back all the way, out to the side on a friction joint. You have a rotation here at the thigh. You have a more than 90-degree bend at the knee, and I think that looks pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good articulation. Before we leave the legs, I want to show you back here. There's a panel here, and it's not really used for anything. You don't need it for transformation. I'm not sure if this was just a boarded transformation joint or something like that, or maybe it's for detail. I really don't know. I guess you could open those up for vents or something. Coming down to the feet, you have ankle tilts on a hinge back here, so it gets you all the way pretty much any direction. Forward tilt to there, upward tilt to there, and no toe tilt there, but there's a rotation here due to the way it's designed. All right, so for the accessories, we get his shoulder cannon done in this gray, gray with silver, kind of a gunmetal color, and then red across that. Looks really good. This can also be used as a gun, so if you want, you can put it in his hand and use it like this. That's a good looking gun. Or if you prefer, like I prefer, there's a hole right here on the backpack. Plug it into there, fold it forward, and now he has that nice shoulder cannon there. It is set back a little bit far for my taste, but it works. It looks good and it works. We also get a regular blaster done in that same gray paint with a little bit of metallic red on it. Sculpted beautifully. It looks very nice. This can also fit in the hand. And sometimes the fingers get a little wonky with these ball joints. And like I mentioned, they're a little bit fiddly just because of the size. And that might be just me with my bigger hands, but good looking gun here as well. We also get two swords done in translucent blue with a gray handle. These will fit in the hands as well. You can tab it into the palm and then close up the fingers. And that's a nice looking sword. Or if you want, you could take these and there's a peg hole in the hip skirt. And you can tab these in here, which I thought was pretty cool. So pretty neat. I mean, all of his weapons can be used at once. We also get these speakers, which I think are really cool looking. They've got some gray, metallic red, and pearlescent white. Here's the back. Unfortunately, these don't. I wish they pegged on up here somewhere, like on the doors. Actually, maybe no. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't peg in here. I wish it did though. It looks like it could have, but instead, you can come to the side of the arms here, and you'll see a little slot right there. And I get the wrong one. Let's put this one here. And we can do the same thing on this side. And now we've got those speakers on his arms. Unfortunately, you can't really see them. So I think the best way to use these is to rotate the arms up and get the arm out like this. I know it's a little weird, but I don't know. I just think this is the best way to, and maybe put his hands in, but that's the best way to show off these speakers, because I don't really see a better way for him to really show these or use these like, you know, an actual, you know, stereo. So for some size comparison, there it is next to the Magic Square version of Optimus Prime and the Fans Toys version of Jazz. And you can see he is definitely bigger than a Masterpiece Carbot, but still smaller than an Optimus. So I think he'll probably fit in well next to a 3-0 or Flame Toys, that kind of display. All right, now let's get this guy transformed into vehicle mode. And it is a relatively complex transformation, but not frustrating either. I was at somebody's house. They had this out this past weekend, and several people who were there picked this up and transformed it without instructions, and were able to do it. So it is relatively straightforward, just some things to look out for. Go ahead and lift up the arms, fold this down. You got to get the hands in this slot, but you need the fingers to be folded up as flat as you can get them. Otherwise it will collide when you get to here. So it's got to be like perfectly collapsed. And we'll go in there, you can close that up. Now we get those arms in there, we can take care of this upper body. So we're going to unpeg the chest from both sides. It's pegged in here and here. You can unclip the chest from this front tabs. Come to the back, we can unclip the backpack from these two shoulder blades. Just kind of lift these out of the way. And we can unclip the glass, the blue piece, from this. You can close that up. And that'll give us a little room to work. You can just put this down for now. We are going to end up flipping this open in a little bit. Just to get things out of your way, just get the doors folded out like that. And come back to the front. You can lift out on these. These are going to fold all the way out. Don't fold them in just yet. Come to here, lift up on this head. You're going to push through this panel. This is going to rock backwards and sit right under here. So, a little tricky thing, it's on a double hinge. So when you go back to the robot mode, make sure you push it forward on that double hinge. Lift this up, come to the bottom here, you're going to fold the head in all the way, and that's going to slide into there. If you look under here, here's how it's sitting under there. Next we'll take care of this upper body. So bring this back on this hinge. This was sitting down on this double hinge. You're going to bring it back like this on the double hinge. And we'll take care of the arms. So rotate the arm up. We're going to take this entire double hinge. There's two black double hinges on the outside. You'll flip the wheel out, and then you need to rotate it in on those double hinges. Especially the first few times, it's going to be tight. And while we're here, we need to rotate the arm so that the elbow is sitting on the outside. So yeah, go ahead and get these double hinges rotated all the way in until they're flat up against here. So they should be flush with the outside. Then you can take this, close that down, and clip that in place. On the inside here, we're going to take this, fold this ab piece up. The entire piece you just folded up is going to fold in. Now here's that little peg I was talking about. This peg is clipped into this wheel. That's what holds the shoulder blade in place so that when you rotate the arm outwards, and I was talking about that earlier, that's really what kind of solidifies his upper chest in addition to these two pegs. But right now we're going to close this up. There's a little slot inside the wheel well where this is now going to go. There's a peg here that's going to go into here. And then there's a peg right here on the front, this red piece going into a slot there. So all of that is what holds us in. Before we do that, we're going to rotate this hip skirt up, and it's going to fold flat right there. It's on a double hinge, so make sure you get it up and over on that double hinge so it's out of the way. So it should look something like that. Right. Now we can get all this closed up, and make sure you get all those pegs that I mentioned earlier into their slots. And if it doesn't go, then you don't have this configured correctly. And I think I had this pushed back, so get that one, got that middle one, and I think I got the back one. So go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to do it off camera, but basically get the arm configured. Alright, so here's how we'll be looking after doing both of the front pieces. They're pegged in together, and the front of the vehicle is pretty much done. Here's what the bottom looks like. Alright, let's work on this front window section here. So open these up. We can flip this over the top. Flip down this panel. This will come down and sit right here. We're not going to really put it in place. I'm just going to get it close. But we're going to rotate the doors. And I'll just show you where things are going to sit. There's a slot right here. Tab right here on the inside of the door. I don't want to open this back up later, which is why I'm showing you now. And make sure you've got all of this folded flat inside of here. And by the way, these hip skirts are on a double hinge. You want them all the way up on the double hinge, which I didn't have. So I'm adjusting it now. But make sure those are all the way up on that double hinge. And that's what will allow you to fit all of this in here. This is going to end up unpegging from here. But just leave the doors and this section up for now. It's configured and ready. Come back here, we can unpeg this rear hip skirt, unpeg this front hip skirt, and just be careful with these while we do it, but that's what it's going to look like. And that'll allow you to take these legs and unpeg them from here. They're going to accordion outwards and end up sitting right up in there like that. So they butt up against this front section. And I rotated these down accidentally, but so put these back down. This can go back down, and that should all sit flat on the bottom of the vehicle. Like I mentioned, there is these panels here. Not really used for anything, to be honest. They don't add anything to the transformations. I think it's just an aborted transformation, feature. All right. So now that we have everything configured, let's get to the legs. And the legs have some complicated parts, but go ahead and unpeg the leg from here. So there's a tab right here on the inside. I'll show you when I fold it out. That's going into a slot here. So that's what you're removing. Then we're going to take the foot and rotate it up like this. On the top here, we're going to fold this entire panel back. It's a tight little thing, but you're going to rotate this whole thing back like this. This is going to rotate down like that on both sides. So it should sit flat on top of the foot. And just leave that there for now. Come to here. We can rotate this forward a little bit. We're going to take this spoiler piece and bring it up. We're going to angle it out a little bit like this. And then this is going to pass by it. And you push that back up once you go forward enough. And then this will come up to here and obviously make the spoiler. I made a little mistake here, but we have to rotate this before we get this out of the way. So that's my fault. Lift this up, rotate this, then you can put this back down. Put the spoiler back in place. and get the foot attached on the inside. That should fit right in between here. And that's one side. So there's a little bit of work to do here at the hip area. It's a double hinge, so you gotta rotate it down on the double hinge so it sits flat inside here, and it basically sits further down so that the wheel, aligns. So that's one side done. The feet have two little pegs on the bottom, so open up those pegs right here and here, and that'll allow you to peg the feet together. So bring this together and make sure you've got everything lined up. The feet are pushed all the way in. The hip skirt is actually opened up for a minute right now, because this will be hard to put in if you can't see. Get that pegged together so the feet are kind of flat. Make sure this is all collapsed down. We have this will come down, and there's tabs right here that are going into the back of those feet right there. So this should all line up and collapse in. And there's a double hinge here, so utilize that double hinge and bring that down and line it up and get that pegged in. Get these spoiler pieces pegged together. Come to the bottom, and here's where you're going to peg. Oops. Let's get that into position. There we go. This will come down. There's two slots up here. This is going to peg it to the back of the legs. And you have to have it completely collapsed, or you'll have a little bit of trouble fitting this. So bring this down and make sure this fits over. All right, there we go. So you should have it kind of flattened up on the bottom here, and then this pegged in to the feet. And it's a pretty tight fit. Going back to the top here, we can kind of adjust this spoiler now. So get this rotated back. It should be kind of flat across the top. And then peg that together. And then now we can take care of this glass piece here. So remember, we have these slots here. The glass is going to peg in. There's two pegs right here. They're going to end up inside and underneath these glass. So you have to slide these all the way back on the roof panel here. Slide them all the way down. And then this is going to come up and underneath and peg in right here. It's easier to show you from here. So peg these in. And then bring these down. There's a peg slot right here, which is matching up with a tab on the inside of here. And you can see it right there, that little tab right there. So bring this down. Make sure those make their way inside this panel on both sides. This is going to come back. There's two slots right here that are going into pegs on the back of this panel as well. So you got to line all that up and then bring this back. There we go. Get that plugged in right there. I'll fix the spoiler at the end. Get this under here. And on the front, make sure it tabs into the side of the arm. And if things aren't fitting right, make sure it's slid all the way forward. That's part of the trick here. Get that tabbed in there, so that attaches the back of the door. And then same on this side. All right, and there's Jezzy in vehicle mode, and I think it looks spectacular. This is a beautiful alt mode. You got those nice headlights on the front, red stripe along the bottom up to here, cyber.com instead of Cybertron. Number 4 gold intakes here in front of the wheels, or maybe they're cooling vents, whatever. Nice martini livery here, as well as on the front and along the roof. Nice stripe goes all the way back. It just really worked out the way they did it. It just comes out beautifully. Here's the back. It's got like a booster, almost like a turbine engine, which is very cool. You know, with red and copper lights back there. And metallic blue wheels, translucent blue for the windows. It's really quite gorgeous. It does roll on the wheels. The wheels make a funny sound when they turn, so it's not anything hitting the ground. It just sounds funny when it rolls, but it does roll nicely. We can mount the weapons on here. I love weapon storage, you know that. And you can take these speakers, and these can plug in right here. And right here. And now you have that look. You can also take these and plug them in here on this front section. You could do it either way. You could do it on this side or the other way. I think I'm going to do it like this, but those will peg into the roof. It's utilizing the tabs which attach to the backpack. And you can have that look. And then you can take the guns. If you come to the back here, there's two little pegs on the back of the spoiler, which allow you to take the guns and peg those in. And because this, angles up and down, you can't angle it. The other gun doesn't, but that will peg in right there. You can kind of line them up, and now you got all the weapons stored. Very, very cool. And you can go even a step further if you want. You can take these and peg them in to the guns. And it might be a little silly for some people, but I just love that everything stores. And it still looks cool. It doesn't look weird. Well, I don't know. Maybe it looks weird to some people, but I don't think it looks weird. I think it looks really neat. And for size comparison, once again, there it is next to the Magic Square version of Optimus Prime and the Fans Toys version of Jazz. And yes, it is definitely a bigger vehicle. I mean, way bigger than an MP Carbot. Still smaller than Prime. So, again, I'm imagining if you've got like the Toy World version of Prime or like a Cybertronian Prime, it's gonna fit in nicely because overall the scale for the movie scale is slightly bigger, at least for those companies like Magnificent Mecha, Toy World. So I think it'll go really well with those vehicles. So final recommendations on the Bingo Toys Jezzy. This is a pretty cool figure, and I wasn't expecting it. I'm going to give it a 4 to 5 recommended. It's pretty fun. It's got really nice articulation, cool accessories. Transformation has some difficult steps, but overall, not bad. Alt mode looks really cool. It is obviously stylized in both modes, but I think, it's something cooler to have nowadays, especially since we already have a couple Masterpiece Jazzes, so a stylized one is welcome. And yeah, I really like what Bingo Toys is doing. I'm excited for the Computron because I don't have a Computron. I don't have any Technobots at all. So I can't wait. If this is the level and the detail we can expect from Bingo Toys, I am all in on that combiner. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Alan for sending this for review, and we'll see you next time.